Welcome everyone to Speedrunner Showcase featuring Hatchet302, the man himself. Hatchet, say hello.
Howdy.
Howdy, and I'm excited for this. I have been waiting to watch this PB for a couple days now. This is Hatchet's absolutely insane full game Marble It Up speedrun in 36 minutes and 57 seconds. How does it hear to feel that? How does it feel to hear that time, Hatchet?
Feels really good. I feel like I've been at 39 for forever.
Yeah, it's been a while. It definitely has. This is what the leaderboard looks like right now, and it's going to stay that way because this run's already verified. But let's have a quick look at what this is. So, some obviously important circumstances surrounding the PB. You set this at a very, very clutch PB at a very special time.
That is true. I said it during the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl 2021. And we were all in the call, in the race with Hatchet at the time. Practically every speedrunner who's ever played this game was in this call. And it was a real treat to hear that Hatchet had set such an enormous PB.
Yeah, I'm very glad it finally came together. It was only a matter of time until a good PB was in the works, but I was not expecting it during the race.
Right. Yeah, that was it was definitely a surprise. So let's go ahead and get started with the video. And once we've done that, we can talk a little bit more about your speedrunning career in Marble It Up.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. I think this is probably sometime during the countdown. Again, we don't have audio on the video itself, so should start soon.
Yeah, it should start during the countdown.
Okay, here we go. Countdown, countdown, countdown. Go. Okay. Here we are learning to roll. Just shout out to this awesome marble. This is a brand new custom
shout out
marble
to
of yours.
Anson,
Shout out to Anson,
the
of
marble
course.
skin god.
It looks so good. It looks so well designed.
I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, so this is Hatchet's custom marble, and it looks so great. Yeah, so we're off to the start of a very cool speed run for a few reasons. First of all, a huge PB by Hatchet himself by like a minute and a half.
2:26.
By 2.5 minutes?
Yeah, just about.
Wow, okay, my math did not work out there, but yes, yeah, you're right. 2.5 minutes, which is ridiculous at this level. And also a little surprise later in chapter 6.
Yeah,
so I'm excited for that. So Hatchet, why don't you tell us as we're going through the early game about how you got into Marble It Up?
Well, I first heard about the game because I saw the announcement on the MarbleBlast.com homepage. It was about when I first started getting back into Marble Blast after like a year or two on hiatus from Marble games in general. So it was right around 2018, mid-2018, I would say.
Yep.
That's when I saw the announcement for it. And from then I was just waiting to see what it looked like. And I watched a lot of streams of it on opening day or release day and the days following. That's when I first found Sea Murder.
Okay.
And I obviously joined the Discord to ask when the Steam version was coming.
Right.
Yes, I came in with a very normie question. But
you stuck around.
Such were the days of the 2 or 3 months before the Steam version was released.
Nice. And did you have any history with previous Marble games or speedrunning in general?
Not speedrunning. This game really was my first introduction into like actual like game speedrunning.
Right.
But I had played Marble Blast through Platinum Quest in the past, both through Gold and Platinum. I've played those before. I used to be somewhat in the Marble Blast community.
Right.
I think I first was like interested in Marble Blast Gold probably like less than a year after World Record Rampage 4. So like
Right.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yep.
Because that was when I was first like, oh, I remember this game. And then I think the Rampage had like popped up in my YouTube recommended at one point. And I was just blown away by the runs there. And so that got me back into
just the
rediscovering Marble Blast Gold.
Collection of all those individual level world records all back to back, and it's really non-stop, near perfection. Definitely, I could see how that would be inspiring for you.
Yeah. So I had played that for a little while. I tried to get... I actually did try to attempt to get a world record on Pitfalls and Beginner, if you remember what that one was.
I do.
I had gotten like a top 5 time, I think. Top 10 or so. And then I kind of fell out of interest in Marble Blast for a while.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what kind of games I was playing in between that time. But yeah, and then after a certain point, I was like, oh yeah, Marble Blast is pretty fun. Returned to that, and then I saw that there was a brand new Marble game on the horizon.
Very cool. And that Marble game was Marble It Up, I assume?
Absolutely. And I've been playing that ever since.
Very cool. So just looking back at your early game, I guess it's still kind of early game, but a few hiccups in Chapter 1, unfortunately. But that is actually pretty good for you going forward, because that gives you like 20 seconds of time save to do on your splits. And for anybody watching who may not know, shortly after this, Hatchet turned around and set a Chapter 1 world record in the single chapter RTA category, right?
Yep. 156.48 over Space Kitty's 156.7.
So with that kind of Chapter 1 ability, that puts you in a really great position to come around and put yourself in the green early on. You're still going to be playing against some great splits with, you know, a very low time with a sub 37 speed run. But
for sure,
it'll be nice to have that green there as a reassurance to say, like, here's the time that you have to work with to potentially set new PBs in the future. And I should ask you about that maybe a little bit later, about how you feel going forward after this run. But first, let me ask, how are you doing in preparation for this run? I know we were all kind of practicing for the Super Bowl. How much had you been running this category, and how much had you been playing this game recently?
Well, over the past week leading up to the Super Bowl, I was doing a lot of chapter RTAs for Chapter 6. I was really wanting to both get a sub 10, and I knew that if I could get a sub 10, I would probably world record because of the faster strats I was implementing, mainly a cleaner Olympus.
Right.
And so I was spending a lot of time on that one. I think I PB'd twice. I got like a 1050 something, and then I got a 1010 on stream. But I can never quite break that 10-minute barrier until the actual Super Bowl.
Right. And I teased this earlier, but I'm definitely looking forward to that Chapter 6, because it is going to be an extraordinary finish to this run. The likes of which have
For
not
sure,
been
it's definitely
seen.
the highlight.
Have not been seen yet until this run happened.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting.
I mean, you had Space Kitty with the Chapter 5 world record.
Surely.
So we kind of had two PB plus chapter world record runs.
That's right. But the finish of this run as I was saying, is the best finish to any
It's going to
run
be very hard to beat.
that anybody's ever done. So
Yes.
yeah, a little bit of time save to be done here in the early game, looking forward, but you're gonna have one heck of a PB split to be facing up against during Chapter 6.
For sure. Yeah, my main goal with future PB attempts is just to keep the lead from the start, so that way I don't lose too much time to Chapter 6.
Right. And your early game is generally quite strong. I mean, you're seeing a 7:04 here, which for me would be maybe an acceptable start. And for you, that's 33 seconds behind your previous record. So obviously showing that you have more than the capability of doing a great early game and putting it into a PB.
Yeah, I typically, when I do full game runs, I typically only run with decent or good starts. I'm not so much into, or I don't do a lot of the no reset runs. I typically do one to start with, but then I try to get like somewhat decent starts.
Yeah, but of course during a race, you don't have the option of...
You can't guarantee that.
Yeah, you don't have the option of resetting just because you're a little behind after Chapter 2. And, yeah, again, just it's going to be outweighed so much by... there's a sad mistake that we're watching right now on... on River Vantage.
That was the first big one.
The first big one, yeah. But, yeah, so, again, another kind of rather significant time save in the kind of early mid-game side of things, which tells me as we're going forward, it's just gonna get cleaner and cleaner. Yeah,
you'll see by the end of Chapter 4 that I do have quite a bit of room for improvement. So like in my previous PB, you see the segment time for this chapter was about a 4:04.
Right.
I definitely don't get close to that in this race.
Yes.
And a 4:38 is a pretty slow Chapter 2 for me. Then Chapter 4 didn't go very well.
Gotcha. Now, before this race, you and I were practically tied in this category. I was... I'm proud to be able to say that I was ahead of you by 0.08 seconds for a couple of days. And then you turned around during the Super Bowl race and absolutely slaughtered me. But again, looking at your previous PB splits, very respectable times, like a 10:36 coming out of Chapter 4, or even Chapter 3. I mean, coming out of Chapter 3 with a 10:36 is much, much faster than I've ever done. So, again,
off kilter was definitely one of the biggest time losses for me there.
Yeah.
So I failed that quite a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing... I mean, I'm enjoying this, obviously, already, but I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what could happen if you were to combine maybe the early mid-game from your previous PB with the remainder of this one.
Yeah, I'm really... Right now I have my sets on... Kind of like my end goal for this category at the moment is a 33. If I can get a sub 34, I'd be very happy with that time, because it means I got a good start, good first 4 chapters, landed, stay, and skip, and got a solid Chapter 6 on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody in the world who can argue that sub 34 is a fantastic time. Currently only 2 runners on the leaderboards have ever done that, and they're two of the best gamers who have ever picked up this game.
For sure.
But yeah, I like the ambition, and I definitely can see your potential to reach that before too long with a little bit of dedication to this category, which you've already shown that you're more than capable of putting in the effort.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm mainly wanting to land, stay, and skip in my next PB if I can. even if I fail it once, or even if the run overall is kind of sloppy, if I can PB with with stay and skip, I would be very happy with that.
Right.
I know I can do it. It's just a matter of not falling off the bar most of the time.
Yes. Yeah, well, that would be really, really cool. And again, only 2 runners have ever implemented that into a full game run. Those 2 same runners, Katzis and Espaki. But yeah, still, again, kind of echoing this kind of weak early game, but insanely great comeback, is you're about 2 minutes behind your previous PB at this point. And yep. I don't know about you, but when I see those numbers, especially during a race, I'm not feeling super confident in being able to pull it back. What were you feeling at the time?
I was definitely starting to become a little skeptical about whether the PB would actually happen. But the one thing I kept in the back of my mind was that I knew I had about 2 minutes of failure on chapter 5. So if I could just play it safe, land everything first or second try at the worst, I knew I could definitely make back most of that time loss. And then I also knew I had a fairly sloppy, for what I had been practicing, a fairly sloppy chapter 6. Yep. So I knew if I could at least get a half decent chapter 6 compared to what I had been getting all week, then I knew I could definitely make it back. But yeah, it was definitely like, okay, I need to not make many more big fails.
Right. Well, I mean, even just looking at your previous chapter 6 split, it was 11 minutes and 39 seconds, and you were saying your goal was a sub 10, so that basically makes up all of your time right there.
Yeah.
And then chapter 4 and
yeah,
chapter
I knew
5,
even if I had
I'm not sure
sloppy chapter 6, I'd be fine.
Yep. So making our way through chapter 4, and things are picking up in the game. So now might be a good time to ask, how are you feeling going forward? Obviously, you've already said your goal is for a sub 34. How are you feeling going forward over the next few months with Marble It Up or other games that you've been up and playing?
I think for sure I will continue. I think I will continue having an RTA stream for this game, but I think I'll probably mix it up and go back to some IL grinds, which I've kind of put on the back burner.
Right.
Because of the Super Bowl event. So I would like to get back to that, go back and play more customs.
That makes sense. And planning
get
to do a lot
around
of that on
to
stream?
Getting around to finishing my next custom compilations video, which I've been neglecting so far. I want to.
Those are some good videos. You want to see custom levels in Marble It Up done really well. Make sure you check those out. And you're planning to do all that on stream, right? Hatchet302 is your Twitch stream. Is that right?
Yes. Hatchet302 on Twitch. I try to stream Tuesdays and Thursdays around 7 p.m. Pacific time, as often as consistently as I can.
Very nice.
I'll probably go back and add some variety in the future as well, because I've been wanting to return to Celeste recently. But there's just so much I want to do and Marble It Up at the moment that I've been putting it to the side.
Fair enough. I feel like Celeste and Marble It Up share some of the DNA of just being indie platformers released around a similar time with really deep movement mechanics.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely feel like Celeste doesn't feel foreign to me when I play it. Either because of the platformers I've played in the past, but also just the mentality that the devs were trying to what's the term?
Oh no.
The mentality that the devs are trying to encourage with Celeste. Yeah, that was a very unfortunate dire straits.
I was just thinking how well you were pulling off the that cycle, which is something I haven't actually learned myself to do dire straits that quickly, and yeah,
it's not
you
too
can see it
bad,
on your
but you
face.
have to get that first turn right. Otherwise, you're gonna miss. You're gonna get on and off cycle, and you might get hit.
Yeah, it makes sense. I like how you've kept
Trophy.
that trophy percent from last year's Super Bowl race. I've seen a
It
few
isn't
people doing
even
that.
because of. I don't even
I know.
think I went for that. It's just
Oh,
become
really?
the most consistent route for me now.
That's so interesting. That's so cool.
It adds a little bit of spice to the run too. Makes it unique.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody else goes for the trophy.
I feel like I have seen it from a couple other runners recently.
Maybe Umbra.
But
Umbra
not
might.
again, not
I
as
forget
a
which route.
not
does.
as a trophy route, but simply because that's the route they know. They probably got it from you. Can't remember exactly who it was off the top of my head. Eplip does it, right? That makes sense.
It is very consistent. That's why I like it. It's about 0.3, 0.4 slower than the way I used to do it, but that one required like balancing how far you fly with the feather fall, and I found that to be too inconsistent when I was on good pace run.
Understood. Well, here's chapter 5. Did you say you've been doing a fair amount of practice with chapter 5?
I have done a little bit. I do have an 817 PB sitting, or some footage sitting around.
Wow.
But it's looking kind of sloppy now, and I'm not sure if I want to upload it or not. Although this, I believe, was like an 829, so I might just upload that so I have something on the leaderboards before I improve it again.
Well, if you have an 817, why would you submit an 829?
Because I'm not sure if I want to upload it to my main channel yet or not.
Okay, you can't. For the record,
Depends.
you can.
I'm trying to figure out what to.
For the record, you can certainly upload a and submit an unlisted video as your submission for the leaderboards.
That is true. I could do that. Take notes, Space Kitty. You have no excuse. I'm gonna do it.
That's true. Space Kitty for sure.
Although he already beat it, so it's irrelevant anyway. But yeah, Space Kitty had been sitting on Chapter 5 world record for a few months now, but he just never uploaded it because he didn't like the fails he got on it, I guess.
Yep. And he set a very, very strong Chapter 5 world record during the same race as right now. Basically,
crazy.
It is happening right now at the time when you're recording this that we're watching. Including both Staying Alive skip and, of course, Pit of Despair skip.
Pit of Despair.
There's a little bit of room for improvement.
Crazy route.
Yeah. There's a small amount of room for improvement on a little bit on Vertigo, a little bit on Gordian, but nothing substantial enough that it would be outweighed that anybody could beat. Would likely be able to beat it without performing both of those skips themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and up until the platform past that one platform, or the one floating island with 2 TTs, I was like really questioning whether to go for Staying Alive skip. But I'm very glad I decided not to. I most likely wouldn't have gotten it.
Right. Yeah.
But it was like, it's like that which button do you push meme. I was sweating real hard until I committed.
Well, I do one thing I do like about your streams is the heart rate monitor. Showing your beats per minute. And I'm definitely interested in seeing how that fluctuates.
That's not a heart rate monitor.
Is it not? Oh, that's a follow count?
Yeah, it's the heart is with 122, that's the follower count.
Man, I was so excited.
I do want to add a heart rate monitor to my stream.
I thought you had 122 beats per minute heart rate, and that would make sense in this context. Anyways.
No.
Yeah, I'm.
Not yet. I do want to add a heart rate monitor eventually, though. I think it would be a neat addition since I typically do speedrunning content.
I feel so embarrassed. But that's all right. That's all right. Going for super jump strats on Gordian, nice and safe.
Yep.
And here is Crystalline Matrix, the bane of my existence.
And the bane of mine until like 2 weeks ago.
Starting to feel pretty confident with this.
Oh yeah. Once I figured out how to do that hit in the diamond gap,
right,
it became so much easier.
Well, easier it is, and
I'm also really happy with contraption.
Yeah,
it's been something I've been trying to do for a long time.
Contraption skip is kind of something we all knew was possible in RTA, but with the recently discovered setup, makes it a lot more viable. So good job pulling that off.
That was about 2 minutes saved right there.
2 minutes saved
just by getting it first try.
Right.
Or maybe like a minute and a half. I did the rest of my chapter 5 was pretty sloppy after that.
Yeah. But either way, that's a great time save.
Yeah, from like 6 attempts down to 1.
Uphill both ways. Not a whole lot happening at the moment in Chapter 5. Have you ever tried the newest route for Flip the Table? The one that Savadra introduced?
I have not.
You haven't tried it?
Almost.
Okay.
I forgot about that save on uphill.
That was close, yeah.
No, I haven't bothered learning that one yet. I might try to learn it next time I go for chapter RTA for chapter 5.
Right.
Also, that's an unfortunate reset on Flip the Table. I got the weird frozen marble spin bug.
Not much you could have done there.
Nah. And you have to wait for the countdown to finish, because if you restart during the countdown, it doesn't reset it.
Correct.
So you have to wait those 30 seconds. I think Katz's does it in his chapter 5 PB, Space Quack.
There's potential we could see that that cycle in a full game world record at some point.
Space Katie didn't in his Katz's. I remember watching it, and
that was close to getting up there, but actually good buffer jump to get back up. Vertigo.
Yeah. Typically I can make it up there. I'm fairly certain that the fast start on Vertigo is best with keyboard, because the setup I have requires like you hold forward, and then once you bounce, you hold diagonal and then jump, and it goes. And it just works.
I have a certain angle on the control stick. I'm not sure I could describe it with words, but it is a little off to the right. That gets me that, I won't say consistently, but a lot more often than you'd expect to randomly.
Yeah.
All right. Getting through Warp Core, and I'm really interested to see after Pit of Despair what your time is. Because
I forget what time in the run.
You're likely to probably be behind. I don't know how long Pit of Despair takes off the top of my head, actually. You have 1 minute left.
Typically takes
to go even
a little
on
over
pace.
30.
Right, so you might be ahead.
Or, no, sorry, 40. Because I don't go for the fast cycles.
Yeah, those can be kind of tight for full game. I am interested, because this is where the this is the highlight of the run that's coming up here. And going into chapter 6 being 27 seconds ahead, And you're going to finish chapter 6 being something like 2 minutes and 27. Yeah, 2 minutes and 26 seconds ahead. So, look at that. Absolutely illegal, not viable.
It is
strat.
viable.
I know what you're saying.
All you gotta do is grind chapter 6 for a week,
Yes.
which kind of becomes a danger zone grind.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So,
yeah, very, very crazy danger zone strat.
I chickened out. I didn't go for the edge hit. I'm sorry.
No edge hit. It's okay.
Could have been a sub 40.
I wouldn't have forgiven you if you had died there. Actually,
I didn't know
the
faster route here, so I just stuck with what I knew.
Stuck with what you knew. Yeah, and I think that's gonna work. Yeah, there's a free 4-ish second time save with a slightly different gem order in this section of Platinum Playground.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be learning that for future runs.
Sure, yeah, again, like I said, it's a free time save, not anything that adds any additional element of risk or anything. Good wall gems. I mean, pretty much everything in this chapter is going to be just about pristine. This is the Chapter 6 world record within a full game PB. That is so cool. That is so cool for me. You did good. Yeah. You did good.
There are faster strats I wanted to do in Chapter 6.
Yep.
But it became such a grind. Because one of those is Head in the Clouds. Getting a faster cycle and half a cycle skip at the end.
Yeah.
For a total of 6 seconds. But it is...
That was the recently discovered
one,
wasn't it? That you've been attempting? That half cycle skip?
Right. Yeah, so if you remember that one streamer who accidentally got into the goal.
I remember that.
That it's actually more consistent than you might think. But it does require somewhat of a specific setup to get right.
Right, yeah, I've tried it a few times, but I haven't been successful with it.
Yeah, and then you put that on top of making the 40-second cycle. So if you just finish it normally, it would net you about 40 seconds, which is oddly difficult for me to get consistently. So you see, I try for it here, but getting the buffer jump to skip the 2 red square elevators is more difficult for me than I expected when I was practicing this level.
Right. But you're still on
great
pace.
I'm looking at the clock when I get on the blue platform. If I get under 21 seconds, I have a shot at getting the 40-second cycle.
Ah, I see.
So I make a mental note that, okay, I'm definitely not going to make it. So I'm just going to play it safe and go for the 44.
Well, I mean, people say the in-game timer doesn't matter in RTA, but you can still use it to your advantage.
For sure.
Using it
yeah,
for
it definitely matters on this one because the cycles are every second.
Yeah.
Or one. Yeah, I think so. Every second.
Useful information for you. To know exactly where the platforms are going to be when you get there. Centripetal Force, another obviously cycle-based level, and that was a bit of a daredevil cycle, if you would have asked me, but I'm not used to it. I usually wait back another few seconds.
Yeah, that jump to make that 23 seconds isn't super bad, but you have to jump more to the side than you think.
Right.
It kind of messes with you because of the moving platforms.
First try escalation, as expected, knowing ahead of time that this is going to be a Chapter 6 world record. I
made Umbra proud. I didn't do IL, but I still got it first try.
Yes, indeed. And at this point, you're probably begging the universe or whatever powers that be.
Please, no desuctor.
No desuctor. Do not get the glitch that pulls you into these destructors even though you don't touch the hitbox.
Yeah.
That
I was talking with my chat and they said this is definitely the most stressful level when you're on PB pace. Because the closer you get to the end, the bigger your time loss if you happen to die.
Right. Yeah, I can see your heart rate monitor went up by 1.
Overall,
so
keeping
much
it
stress.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Keeping it so cool. All right. And Olympus, you're one of the most consistent Olympus runners at the moment, and probably the most consistent in RTA right now.
Probably. Although Umbra beat me.
Umbra beat your time during this race?
Yeah, he beat my Olympus time in this race, so I'm kind of molding about that. Kind of had a rocky start to this run. But overall, not a terrible Olympus, but for my standards, it is a little on the slow side.
At least you didn't know about it until you were either done or basically done.
Yeah, I think I was done well before Umbra was on Olympus.
You couldn't have molded during the race.
Nah.
That would have been a sad way to die. Raging on that over Stratosphere.
So yeah, I'm trying my best to get back on the route I'm familiar with. Managed to get back onto it at the 1:04 checkpoint. So now it's just a matter of landing. This is definitely the most inconsistent part of the whole level, is getting this part correctly.
Right.
For some reason, getting that jump is just kind of a toss-up.
Wow.
Sometimes you get the right face, sometimes you don't.
Just looking at your face for that, it's you could see the worry for sure.
Yeah. That bonk was unfortunate, but thankfully it didn't throw me off too bad.
How many times, if you were to run Olympus 100 times, how many times would you get through Deathless? In your estimation?
That's a tough one. Out of 10 times, I would say probably like at least 70% of the time, I would think.
Okay.
So maybe something similar, probably lower if it were 100. I'm mostly consistent, but sometimes a bad start can really affect the rest of the run.
That's
and
true.
Then also that one section after the 1:04 checkpoint, that is just a toss-up, honestly. But I was so happy I landed Tangle first try there. I lost a world record chapter 6 to that level.
Yeah, I remember that.
One time. That hurt.
No doubt. And you're risking it all on these loop skips for just to save a couple extra seconds on this chapter. But I guess you know that you're ahead of the chapter world record at this point.
I honestly wasn't sure.
Okay.
I wasn't really thinking about my pace. I was more thinking about that this is probably a PB in RTA.
Yeah, I guess full game is going to be on your mind more.
Yeah.
Primarily.
So I was like, that was a pretty clean chapter 6. I had no idea that it was sub 10 until I looked at my time after. All I knew is that it was pretty clean, and that as long as I didn't mess up too bad, I can definitely PB.
Very cool. And let's see, how are we going to finish this out? The risk again? Yes, indeed.
Always. I have a mouse.
Yes, the mouse definitely helps for that strat, more so than most strats. But yeah, that's Stratosphere, and look at that. 36:57. The sub 37, you skipped 37, you skipped 38, and went straight down to 36. That is so cool.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I was very happy with that one.
Very, very happy with that race in general. What a great event, and what a great assortment of PBs that came out of it. And it was so exciting to hear you call it the 3657. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And good for you. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Do you think this PB is going to stand long?
Honestly, it depends. I think if I go next time I start going for full game again, I think I'm going to legitimately try going for stay and skip.
Right.
So it really depends on if I can land that first try and then follow it up with no major screw ups after that.
That's true. Well, conceivably, after stay and skip, you could go into the beginning of chapter 6 3 minutes ahead.
Yeah, potentially.
If you can imagine that, compare, like, if you are going for stay and skip, and you have a very clean early and mid game, just imagine going into chapter 6 3 minutes ahead. That would be quite something.
That would be pretty wild. Yeah. In the future, I would definitely want to try and shoot for a sub 8 minute chapter 5. I know I can easily do it just by not messing up very much. And if I can land faster Newton's cycle on the first try, which is getting pretty consistent. Without stay and skip, yeah.
Right.
Obviously, it makes it a lot easier with stay and skip. And then, yeah, trying to play close to my bests on the first 4 chapters to get that 2 minute lead. And then hopefully just keeping it to the end.
Very, very cool. And now, once again, let's have a look at this leaderboard to finish things off. Is already verified. And you are sitting comfortably in 3rd place on the leaderboard, with a little bit of a gap ahead of you, but also a fair gap behind you in terms of a safety cushion of holding that spot. Although I've heard there are a few runners who are looking to push up that way. So looking forward to what happens with this category in the future, and possibly the near future, as full game's gotten quite a bit more popular in the last few weeks.
Yeah. I would like to think I'm safe, but we also got to remember that Space Kitty had a 34-minute PB, and he didn't go for stay and skip at all. He just got a clean run.
Yeah.
So, honestly, my run is just within a clean run sniping distance.
That's
from
right.
anyone in the sub 40 range.
That is true. That is true. And we'll see what happens with that in the near future. I'm excited to find out. Anything else that you would like to say about the run, or about the other runners who are kind of in that shooting distance of your time?
I'm definitely kind of scared of Marbler's potential. He's been improving very rapidly.
Absolutely.
Very short period of time.
Absolutely.
Hopefully Atham returns to the game.
Right.
You could tell he must have just been busy, because I think he got like a 49 in the race. Just didn't have the time to practice, but he's definitely a force to be reckoned with.
I agree. Those two.
And obviously you and Savadra.
Yeah, but those two that you mentioned first are, of the top 10 runners, of the sub 40 runners, have done the least, and the least attempts, I believe. And so seeing what they could pull off with a little bit of time, definitely a threat. I agree.
Yeah. I'm also really surprised with how much Olaf has improved.
Oh,
he's definitely proven he's pretty solid at this game.
He jumped from barely sub 50 to sub 40 within the run of a week.
Yeah.
Not much else to say about that. Not much else to say about that. Well, any last thoughts?
Yeah. No,
Is that it? Well,
I think that's it for me.
Want to thank you so much for joining me here on Speedrunner Showcase. And
Thanks
so
for
glad
having
we
me.
all got to watch that run. That was a treat. That was a real treat to watch. And hopefully we'll be seeing you back on this show again sometime after you take a crack at those top 2 runners. All right. Have yourself a very great day, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good one.